This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 375. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
I just want to call this the impossible episode. Not only are our two travel schedules like two ships passing in the night for work this week, but the technical difficulties have been off the hook just to get this going. So you're welcome, everybody. But with that said, because we are on a time crunch, it's going to be a shorter show. We're just, we're going to go like, I don't know, 45 minutes maybe?
45, an hour? Who knows?
Yeah.
The thing is,
who knows?
I don't have a set deadline to get out of here. Maybe you do.
Yeah.
I'm here for the
exactly.
people.
Yeah, well, sometimes I give the people what they want. Sometimes I don't. Today, I'm not feeling as generous.
And sometimes, sometimes I wish we had a live show, because then everybody could see everything that goes on to actually making this show start when it does start.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be a show in itself, I feel like.
It would be, especially if you enjoy just watching me melt down and scream at Apple for updating my catfish for no reason when I didn't ask them to.
It would be like a do better segment to start off the show.
Yeah, it just deleted like a bunch of my apps for like no reason. That just they just went away to make room for the update that I denied.
Well, you don't need those apps anyway.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Like that
Even
stuff's important. They know what you use and what you don't use.
Yeah, well, that's probably true. There's nothing spooky about that.
It is episode 375. It is the off season. This is the time of the off season too, where I feel like it's okay if we do maybe just a little bit shorter show.
Yeah, this is one of those. This is the Dog Day show.
Because it's this time of the off season where I'm feeling like the most Seahawks news that we're getting is for a player that's not even on our team anymore. It's Russell Wilson news.
Yeah, for sure. What new did you hear about Russ in his new Weirdo Freak Show?
Well, Corbin did a whole article on Russell Wilson and the relationship with Brian Schottenheimer and the relationship with Pete Carroll and how all that ultimately led to Russ's departure.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't seen that one.
Well, most of it, I feel like it just goes back to some of the things I felt we discussed after the Schottenheimer departure, right? It's mostly, here we had the season with Russell Wilson, where the first half of the season he was tearing it up. The second half, other defenses made adjustments. There seemed to be conflict among Russ and Pete, and I feel like this kind of recaps everything fairly well.
So it wasn't groundbreaking. It was maybe stuff that kind of backed up things that we've been talking about for years and just kind of reaffirmed those sort of things.
The headline on Field Goal says Russell Wilson wanted Schotty fired, which that would be news, but I guess it was...
Well, it made a big difference which offensive coordinator was in there, so...
It makes zero difference. Our offense is the entire same. The Broncos are going to get the entire same offense with Russell Wilson now with the Broncos. It's going to be the same. It's the Russell Wilson offense.
I will say, so I posted it in the Ring of Honor. There was a video on YouTube, and I think it was, the guy's name is Alex K. Rollins.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Anyways, he put out a video saying that Russell Wilson can run one offense, and it's the Russell Wilson offense. And basically went through all the things we've been talking about for years with Russ and just broke it out, just boop, 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 boop. Here it is. It's either play action or an alert or it's outside the numbers or the
scribble play.
Or the scribble play. He called it off script. Obviously, he hadn't gotten the lingo yet, but it was very validating to watch that. And it does make you wonder, with the league figuring out the Russell Wilson offense in the second half of seasons over the last number of years, if the same thing will happen to the Broncos. And I think it will.
And it does make me wonder, too, at what point they're going to figure that out. Is it going to be early in the season to where they try and make adjustments? Now, okay, I don't want to...
You would have to assume that Russ wants to make adjustments. He hasn't done it his entire career. How many times has he been asked, how many different coordinators can you have come in with totally different philosophies and be like, hey, man, do this a little different? Yeah, no. Kill shot, third and
There is
two.
one aspect of it, though, that I'm curious about for our team, because we talked about the heat maps and how Russell Wilson doesn't throw over the middle of the field. Part of me thinks that is a Pete Carroll philosophy more so than a Russell Wilson capability. And maybe it's a combination of the two. But I think the higher tendency to turn the ball over by throwing toward the middle of the field is something that Pete Carroll would prefer to avoid because of the turnover aspect.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of turnovers that happen when you throw to the wide-ass open dude running the slant for the 30th time in a row is so turnover-prone. Better jam it into DK on the outside on 3rd and 2 on a 40-yard bomb. I don't think this is a Pete thing. I really don't. I think this had to do with the height.
There is something that could be due to the height, because if you're Russ and you're trying to throw over the line and throw short, the tendency would be to throw high, and then the receiver, the ball's going off the fingertips of a receiver, and then it's, ultimately, if that happens, it's going into the hands of a defender.
Yeah. He can throw over the middle. He just can't do it consistently because he needs passing lanes to open up between offensive linemen to be able to throw between. It's just how it is for him. It's either that or do another pirouette backwards and then throw it over the middle.
Let's talk about our quarterbacks.
Yeah, okay.
Geno Smith, Drew Lock.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay with Geno starting every game in 2022 if that were to happen?
It will not happen. That is an impossibility unless Drew Lock has a catastrophic injury.
Okay, so you're assuming Drew will play. What do you think his ceiling is?
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees is the Drew Lock ceiling?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't you see the video I posted for you?
No.
In the Ring of Honor?
I don't read the stuff that you post.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a video. You don't have to read anything. You can be lazy. You can just sit and passively consume it.
I wasn't paying attention.
A certain fellow breaks down that could Drew Lock be the next Drew Brees?
Mm-hmm.
And he compares Drew Brees' career with the Chargers to Drew Lock's career with the Broncos. They're surprisingly similar.
So, Drew Lock, future Hall of Famer. I like
Sure.
this ceiling.
Yeah, that's the ceiling. Now, ask me the likelihood of reaching that ceiling.
What's the percentage chance that you give that of happening?
4%.
It's oddly specific.
Look, I'd take 75% Drew Brees and be real happy.
What does 75% Drew Brees look like? What's a comp on 75% Drew Brees?
Who in their career was 75% Drew Brees, but with a better arm? Because that's what Drew Lock would be.
Well, Drew had a good arm early in his career.
He had a fine arm. He's never had a hose.
No, I mean, not like the hose.
Exactly. That's all I'm getting at. Let's see. Who would that be? Stafford's a great example.
Okay.
75% Drew Brees with a better arm.
A little bit more mobile, Matt Stafford.
No, I'd say Stafford and Locke have similar mobility. I meant Locke having a little more mobility than Drew Brees.
Oh, than Drew Brees?
Now, there's going to be the first I guarantee the first comment on this video on YouTube is going to be, you guys delusional. They're never going to beat Drew Brees. You guys dumb. Like, I can already hear it. They type in that voice, too. I don't know how they do it. But look, it's just, I saw the video. You asked me what the ceiling was. If everything went perfectly in an ideal world, in a world of no consequences, that's what it would be. That would be the ceiling. I just don't think it's likely at all.
And the career trajectory part of it works out in terms of spending a few years with one team, didn't really work out. Now with Drew Brees and the Chargers, it was due to injury and the concerns of him being able to play. And obviously they got Phillip Rivers.
He didn't get injured till like the last couple games of his last year there. So it's not because that's not why it didn't work out.
Well, they went and got Phillip Rivers.
That's exactly right. That's why it didn't work out. And the comparison was Chargers had some talented wide receivers at the time, and they had LT, good running game, a pretty good defense, and Drew Brees was still a bit middling. And a lot of people would point to Drew Lock's time in Denver. Good run game, a good defense, some good wide receivers. It was middling.
It's interesting that you bring up that Drew Brees comparison then, because I was hearing some discussion around quarterbacks and the idea of when do you know that your young quarterback is a quarterback of the future? Because, everybody, you go back to this past year. Yeah, Mac Jones was the rookie of the year. Other young quarterbacks, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. And you can't really say of any of those guys, yeah, they're going to be the dude. And especially with Trey Lance, who barely even played. Like, they're going to be the guy going forward as a franchise quarterback. After 1 year, you don't really know. So when do you know?
Zach Wilson and Fields will be the dude for their teams for the next 3 years.
Okay. I don't get the sense from Jets fans necessarily that they believe that to be true. They want it to be true.
If you had Jets fan PTSD, how would you feel about this quarterback that had some up and down stuff early, but then actually finished pretty well? And with a relatively new coach, all these rookies, the Jets aren't going to be good this year. They've got a big infusion of talent, but it's going to take another year.
The point of it is, though, is when, at what point? Is it after 2 years that you have a pretty good idea? Is it after 3? What is that point to where you can look at your quarterback and say, okay, he's a guy that we're going to be sticking with for the next 5, 7, 10 years?
I would say that it's at mandatory training camp of the first year they're there. Russell Wilson became the man. He was the guy after that first preseason. Well, let's say after the first preseason.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence was going to be the man after beating out everybody his first year. Like, you go down the list, most of these guys, like, you kind of know pretty quick. Josh Allen started right away. Lamar Jackson, I guess, did not. He had to sit behind Statue Joe there for a minute.
But do you peg all those guys as 7 to 10 year guys with the same team in the NFL?
I don't peg any quarterback for a 7 to 10 year guy with an NFL team. Not one. That is so rare, and it's getting rarer. Like, it's going to be more quarterback turnover.
Well, 7 year 7 years is one contract beyond your rookie contract.
I don't think you can project anything in the NFL past 3 to 4 years.
You're telling me that after seeing Mahomes in his second year, that you didn't peg him as a guy that was going to re-sign with the Chiefs?
Oh, sure. I would think he was going to resign with the Chiefs, but whether or not he had a regression, whether or not he had some big injury, whether or not Andy Reid quit and they brought in another coach.
Injuries. I'm just talking about whether or not he's going to be a good quarterback going forward. And I'm trying to tie it back to Drew Lock and say, has it been enough time for Drew that you should know if he's going to be good or not good?
I got you. I think I was being a little antagonistic and not exactly getting your point. So so what's interesting about you saying that is the comments in that video regarding Drew Lock. Could he be the next Drew Brees? The majority of the comments, and maybe this is how YouTube sorted them and the algorithm and everything, whatever, I don't know. But the majority of the comments that I read through, and I probably read through 25, 30 of them, were, man, Broncos did Drew Lock dirty. From Broncos fans. All these were from Broncos fans. Dang, I'm really rooting for Drew in Seattle. I really thought he had it. And Fangio just stabbed him in the back. Just stuff like that. A lot of Broncos fans, including Bronco Jared, think Drew Lock got the short end of the stick in Denver and really never had a chance. Which is odd to me. I would have thought there would have been a lot more, yeah, good luck with that, dude. Fantastic time.
Most of my Broncos fans' relatives, that's the vibe I'm getting from them. Is good luck with Drew Lock. Wait a second.
Well, that sounds like there's a whole nother issue that needs to be addressed here. You haven't divorced them as family?
It's on my wife's side of the family. It's not important.
Well, yeah, sounds like block to me. You need to cut those people out of your life.
It's on very rare family occasions, birthdays, that sort of thing. I can deal with it then.
You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to have that.
This isn't about me. Why are you trying to make this about my deal?
Just your Bronco family. Yeah, you can't have that. No, I don't know. I mean, that was just the comments in that video. It's what I've heard from a lot of different Broncos fans. I think Drew Lock has a chance. Again, I'll restate it a million times here. There's a 30% chance that he becomes the guy. A significant catfishing chance. Still not likely. But there's guys who have done it. Dan Fouts wasn't good for a long time. Rich Gannon wasn't good for the majority of his career. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl and was a pretty good quarterback those last couple years of his career. It took him forever to put it together. Doug Williams is another example. You can go down the list. There's a lot of guys where this has happened, or maybe they have switched teams and then found further success. There's a lot of different ways to a franchise quarterback. It's not just draft somebody in the top 3 picks, build your team around him, pay him $10 zillion a year, and throw the ball 500 times a game. There's a lot of ways to go about this.
See, to me, when I think of a guy with a ceiling and maybe a Seahawks comparison, like if Drew Lock could just be Matt Hasselbeck.
That'd be a big ask.
Well, that's what I want. I'm just saying what I want.
Pete Hasselbeck was 90% Drew Brees.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think, is Drew Brees a Hall of Fame quarterback? Whereas Matt is definite borderline, like he won't get in, but he was really good.
Is Drew Brees a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Yeah.
You
think so?
Were you dropped on your head today?
Hey, he's pretty good.
Oh my God. Yes, Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's a slam dunk, no brainer. First ballot, put him in. Already sold the jacket for him.
Why are you that sure?
Just look at his career.
Won one Super Bowl.
Sure. And he was a top 5 quarterback almost every single year for the rest of his career. He set all the NFL all-time passing records before Brady decided to make a deal with the devil and live forever.
That's why I have a hard time judging quarterbacks, because in this era of quarterback, I put him up against Tom Brady and I go, oh, well, he's not that guy.
Well, yeah, you can do that with every other quarterback in the history of the NFL. And you'd be like, oh, he's not Tom Brady, though.
Aaron Rodgers is the other one, because I try and look at all pros. Drew Brees was one all-pro season.
Yeah. So how many guys get to be the all-pro quarterback of any given season?
Yeah, it's like 2. And he's up against Brady and Rodgers.
And Manning. And, whoever else has that crazy rando year, right? I mean, all pros are kind of overrated in terms of whether a guy belongs in a jacket or not.
I feel like it's a pretty good indicator. Like, you want guys that are... You've always kind of said, is the guy the top number of X players in his era at that position?
Yeah. You think in the Brady Brady Manning era, Drew Brees wasn't a top 3, top 5 quarterback in that era?
He maybe sneaks into the top 5.
Oh, easily is top 5. Who else would you take from that era?
Why are we arguing Drew Brees' Hall of Fame candidacy at this point anyway?
Because your take on this is unbelievable. I can't believe that was even a question in your mind. Look, I would say it's almost like saying, is Kurt Warner a Hall of Famer?
Of course.
Okay. How is Drew Brees not?
I don't know. It's the same reason why I'm not sure if Frank Gore is a Hall of Famer. Like, okay, Drew Brees threw for a lot of yards.
Yeah, Frank Gore wasn't the straw that stirred the drink for the entire team for over a decade.
Drew Brees, born the same year that we were. How about that?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
That dude's old.
He's way old. Yeah, but hey, look, if Drew Lock could be a borderline... If Drew Lock could be Dave Craig, I'd be happy.
Well, looking at Drew's first couple years, he did take the Chargers to an 11-4 season in 2004.
Yeah, I know.
And that was a Pro Bowl season for him. We don't have that kind of output from Drew Lock with the Broncos.
Right. Drew Lock also did not have LaDainian Tomlinson.
No.
So.
Or
is it 04 the year that LT set the single season record for it broke Sean's record?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So how much of that was Drew Brees that year? I remember those Chargers teams with Drew Brees. Drew Brees was like, yeah, it's all right.
He also threw 27 touchdowns and 5 interceptions that year.
That one year. But if you look at their interception and touchdown totals for their first few years there with their first team, they're remarkably similar. Completion percentage, remarkably similar.
Yeah. For the first 2 years.
Brees has a lot more wins.
Drew Brees' terrible years comp out well with Drew Lock's terrible years.
No, all of the years comp out pretty close. But the thing is that Drew Brees was on a better team.
All right. You have me sold. Shoot. Let's go ahead and start Drew Lock. Has he started taking most of the first team reps yet? That's what I need to know.
I don't think they're taking any reps right now.
I know it's the offseason now.
Yeah. But hey, look, I know what Geno is. I do. And he's fine. He's fine. But Drew Lock could be pretty good. Could be. 30% chance. You guys are so delusional. Enjoy that. Come back out here and let us know when the Broncos have the 13th pick in the draft. Come talk to me then. Yeah, happy to.
Yeah, what was that comment that we got on YouTube? It was something about how we were talking about how the Broncos were going to be bad, right?
The
and
Broncos
the
aren't going to be
said,
quite as
come
good
back
as...
to me after the season and say that.
Happy to.
Yeah.
Happy to. Hey, I could be dead wrong. It could absolutely happen. Hasn't happened often, but it could. I'd give it less of a chance than Drew Lock being a good quarterback for us. More like 10%.
Why are Broncos fans even tuning into this show to find out how we still feel about our ex-quarterback?
I don't think that Broncos fans have much good to do with their time.
Are there no good Broncos podcasts that you could listen to and get analysis on Russell Wilson?
According to Bronco Jared, there is not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, welcome Broncos fans.
Right, yeah. We're going to win 16 Super Bowls in a row.
Josina Anderson tweeting out on Wednesday, I'm told the Seahawks still have a high level of interest in acquiring quarterback Baker Mayfield, and behind the scenes are open to contractually extending him per league source. I also know that the process of collecting information and insights into Mayfield is still ongoing.
Didn't she just report that where was he going? It wasn't Seattle.
Carolina, probably.
Somewhere. No, it wasn't Carolina either.
Oh.
Maybe it was Carolina.
San Fran?
Yeah, because some people have been like, well, what if they do a Jimmy G for Baker swap?
Wouldn't that make sense?
Kinda.
I feel like that'd make a ton of sense, except then the Browns locker room gets hypnotized by the handsomeness of Jimmy G, and then that's who they want as their quarterback. And they have this locker room fracture between Watson and Jimmy G.
How can there be a fracture when Watson's not going to be there?
I suppose that would make it tough to actually have a fracture.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about this a little later. This involves my do better, or my better at life. But yeah, I don't think it makes sense for the Niners at all. Because if you really are giving the keys of the kingdom to Trey Lance, you can't bring in Baker. Jimmy G is a much more affable dude. Like, he could sit the bench and he could probably stew, but he could hide it. You know, all that stuff. Plus, he's coming off the injury, so there's that. Baker's going to be fired up. He wants to play.
He does. There's been a lot of talk on Seattle radio about Jimmy G in Seattle. And it was all prompted by some national media guy saying that Jimmy G was the missing piece for the Seahawks, which I thought was kind of funny.
Absolutely.
That's the guy that they need to work things out. Now, you know, if you could combine the locker room, because by all accounts, 49ers players love Jimmy G.
Sure.
If you could combine that, if you could put that into Baker,
I think most of the Browns locker room
and
really
maybe
like
make Baker a little bit more handsome in the process.
Well, the handsome factor definitely goes to Jimmy G.
I mean, when you compare anybody,
as far as the locker room presence and everything, that was the whole mystique of Baker coming out of college. And you hear Browns guys that were former Browns talk about Baker now, and I mean they've got nothing but good things to say about him.
Yeah, it was more
except for Odell
and some of the people who sided with Odell there. But yeah,
he's not coming to the Seahawks. You got to let this go. This is a dead fucking horse.
How am I the one that needs to let it go when I have a tweet from a reputable reporter saying that there's behind the scenes stuff going on and the Seahawks are open to it? quote, having a high level of interest. This isn't me. This is Josina Anderson.
Yeah, well, I'll put out a tweet. It says the Seahawks have no level of interest in Baker Mayfield, and I'm a reputable podcaster. But because both of them would be on Twitter, it doesn't matter.
I was at the pharmacy this week picking up a prescription, and the pharmacist had to come up to the window because, sometimes they have to give you tips. Like, do you really know how to use this is usually the question. The subtext is there. But anyway.
Yeah, put pill in mouth, swallow.
How hard can it be? But I have my Seahawks hat on, and I take it she was a Seahawks fan too, because she goes, who's going to be our quarterback this year? And I said, I don't know, but I'm kind of hoping Baker. She said, me too. And I thought, that's a pretty cool pharmacist.
Are you guys taking Baker pills together?
Kind of want to be.
I don't know, man. I'm good on the Baker Mayfield experience. No thanks.
Where I go, though, between Jimmy G,
which is never happening, by the way.
It wouldn't happen, one, because he can't really throw deep with any kind of accuracy that I don't think that it would really fit with what Pete wants to do. And the injury stuff is something that I'm not real comfortable with. But anyway.
No, you're burying the lead. It would be an interdivisional trade.
No, it would have to be some kind of deal with 3 teams involved, and San Francisco finds out that they got screwed by some other team.
I think everybody knows those things when they make those deals. Say you're the GM that does a 3-team deal with the Niners, and say you're Howie Roseman, right? And you're like, all right, I'm going to trade you such and such for Jimmy G, and then I've got, this other trade. I don't even know how you do it, because the other trade package would have to be at the 3rd team that then goes back to the Niners. I don't know.
I bet there's a sneaky way to do it. If you're a good general manager, you could make it happen.
Let's say you're Howie Roseman and you do go behind the Niners' back and then trade Jimmy G to the Seahawks. How many more deals do you ever do with the 49ers? Or with half of the GMs?
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably 0.
It is also the time of year where we get some big Seahawks news, Adam. The Seahawks waive Pierre-Olivier Lestage.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yes, I do. The center.
Was he a center or a guard, or we didn't really know exactly what he's...
He was just a bona fide badass from Canada. Yeah. That's all we knew.
Well...
What's the Lestage up to?
He's no longer with the team.
Aw.
They cut him.
C'est la vie.
But the Seahawks did sign defensive tackle Brian Mone to a contract extension.
Yeah, I saw that. That was interesting. And look, that kind of points to them giving undrafted free agents a chance and the whole 9. And cool for him. I'm happy for Brian Mone.
Base value of $12 million with incentives that could make it $13.8 million. Oh, that was the initial report. I don't know. Okay. So here's what he's set to make in 2022, according to overthecap.com. Cap hit of 1.75 in 2022. That seems all right. 2023, $2.2 million base salary with some game bonuses, roster bonus, cap hit of $3.8 million, essentially. Under $4 million for a...
Yeah. Mid-tier money for a guy who plays maybe just slightly above mid-tier. Good deal. Happy for Brian Mone. Generational wealth for his family. Good job, bud.
And then, well, it just depends. 2024, the cap could go up. He could be playing at a decent enough level. But then is where it hits a $4.9 million base with 1.5 in incentives for a cap number of $6.4 million. So that's 3 years out, not guaranteed. He only got 1.5 million guaranteed. Well, that's not that bad of a contract.
What, for the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an amazing contract for the Seahawks if only 1.5 was guaranteed.
Yeah, they gave him a $1.5 million bonus. And next year's contract isn't that bad. 2024, $6 million. If he's good, then it's going to be a deal. And if he's bad, then you cut him.
There you go. And the cap is magic anyways, because Rams.
The cap is magic. Our executive producers are magic. A big thanks to our executive producers, DCH, Dustin Mock, Brian Shaw, and Becca Christensen.
All awesome people, all killing it every day. Like, I don't know, like when they wake up in the morning and look themselves in the mirror, is it hard to live with their own greatness? Or are they able to just like shrug it off and just, mingle amongst the rest of us mortals?
That may be a very specific question to ask each one of them.
I did ask that of Douglas.
Yeah?
The DCH. Yeah.
What was his answer?
He said it was a burden, but since he is so great, he manages to pull it off.
That's
not his answer. That's not his answer, and he's probably cringing right now, but I liked it for him.
I don't know. I feel like I could see that coming from him.
Yeah, it could. I'm not saying there's a 30% chance that would have come out of his mouth.
But it would also come with a high dose of sarcasm.
Well, yeah, it's the DCH.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm hearing it in that tone in my ears as you say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got some new members of the flock this week.
See, there we go. I knew this wasn't going to be a drought.
Brian Pecha is in at $5 and a penny. And see, when you make a donation through PayPal, you get to, when we say that you get to give value back to the show in whatever amount you choose, if this is a meaningful number to you, like $5 wasn't enough. You had to go $5 and a penny.
Do you think the extra penny was for his stock?
Could be. Although I didn't get a note, so no.
Oh, dang. I thought I was setting that up real good. Darn it. But thank you, dude. Appreciate it a ton. Because, we don't want to get skunked 2 weeks in a row. I mean, good Lord.
Well, Brian wasn't the only one.
I'm about to quit my job.
Brian wasn't the only one who came in. It was also Eric Gilbertson in at $10. Oh, this one was via YouTube. People can donate via YouTube now. He says, thanks, transplanted Seattleite living in Billings. Enjoy your banter and Hawks insights.
Hey, all right. I appreciate it, Eric. Look, if you're ever out in Laurel and you run into Bronco Jared, kick him in the balls for me. Tell him he knows what he did. And, it'll be fun.
Fun fact, Billings is still technically part of Montana.
Yeah? Was it in danger?
I mean, it's kind of in the Dakotas.
See, now, if you ask any of them Flatlanders out there, they will all tell you that that's where the Flatland starts. And they're in central Montana.
Oh.
Which is kind of sort of true, but doesn't feel right. They're on the east side of the divide. All the rivers run the wrong way. So, yeah.
It's a special place.
It is. Billings, Butte, or Great Falls? Which is the worst?
Oh, gosh. I haven't spent enough time in Billings to know for sure.
Oh, it's got its own kind of special.
I think I'd have to go with Great Falls just because of the wind.
The wind blows awful hard in Billings, too.
Does it?
Yeah. But Great Falls is somehow more depressing. And it's up on the High Line, so it's a lot colder.
Yeah.
But then Butte has that toxic giant pit in the middle of it that's going to kill half the state.
It's a fun place, too.
Yeah. I've always thought that Butte is the butthole of Montana, Billings is the armpit, and Great Falls is like the taint.
Here's the thing about Butte, though. There are so many cool places that you can get to within an hour of Butte, like in every direction.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you ever be stuck in Butte?
It's central. It's central to all the awesome places.
Here's something that'll give you an idea of Butte culture, of all them Butteans, because they are Buttes. I went to and stayed at the fancy dancy hotel there in Butte called the Copper
Super
King.
8. No.
Yeah. And it's...
Wait, what was the name of the hotel? I tried to step on it on purpose.
The Copper King.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So Brittany and I, we go to check in the room. We're at the checkout counter. There's a big sign on the desk. It says, if you live within a 30-minute radius of Butte, Montana, when you rent a room, you are required to give an extra $300 deposit when you rent the room. And I immediately started cracking up. Brittany looks at me. She's like, what is that about? And the guy behind the counter is doing his typing thing. I'm like, because Butte people are a certain kind of special. They're a little extra rowdy, and they tend to destroy catfish. And dude from the counter doesn't even look up. Just nods his head a few times and goes, I've got some stories. And that's it, man. It is a heavy drinking, big fighting mining town. And the people, and it's cold and it's tough. There's obviously, it makes sense that the dude who killed Osama bin Laden came from Butte.
It does make sense.
Yeah, we needed that kind of dude. If you like fist fights and whiskey, Butte's your place.
Yeah, it's true.
Toxic water. Yeah.
Put St. Patrick's Day in Butte on your bucket list.
You know, I thought a great moneymaker in Butte would be to find somebody to dress up in a leprechaun suit, somebody shorter, and get digital camera and a little printer that you can kind of wear off your hip and just go around and charge $10 on St. Patty's Day to take pictures with the leprechaun at all the downtown Butte bars.
Oh, there you go. I
think you'd walk away with a fistful of dollars.
You'd clean up.
Yeah.
There you go. See, money-making tips in our Welcome to the Flock segment.
Absolutely.
Vacation tips. I did my tour of, we did our ghost town tour. We went to Bannock. Yeah. We made a stop in Phillipsburg. You weren't even there.
I know. I was working again.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was Phillipsburg? How were what did the kiddos think?
So my youngest said, I love Phillipsburg. Everybody here is so nice.
True fact.
A lot of the restaurants closed down early though, but we did do the.
Yes, they do.
Well, even earlier than normal. Like, I don't know what happened, but it was nice because we were doing the rock sorting thing. And the guy goes, oh, if you're going to try and make it to the candy store yet, if you haven't made it there, it's closing in 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I know.
So you got the Sweet Pals and the rock sorting thing. Way to undersell that. You were looking for freaking sapphires.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did. And we got some too.
See, this is what I'm saying.
We did the $45 bag. And I think we got 6 that were big enough for
having cut.
Yeah.
And heat treated and the whole nine.
Yeah. We didn't
That's
do
cool.
it, but we got them in a little vial.
Supposedly, I'm supposed to be able to pull those red out from underneath my feet here on the property because the sapphire mine is literally on the other side of the hill.
So rather than paying $45, I should have just gone up to your place, put a shovel in the ground, dug about a bag's worth of dirt out of the ground.
And paid me $35. It'd have been a bargain deal for you. And I don't need any extra holes around the property. I dug one hole, sifted through it, didn't find anything, and didn't fill it back in. And then 2 years later, the first time Brittany was up here, she promptly fell right in it. I don't know how.
Found the hole.
It was smaller than a 5-gallon bucket. Almost broke her ankle.
The weird thing is that you put leaves and sticks over it, and
I put sticks poking out the top of it so you could see it.
Denise Haggart is in with a $20 donation. Welcome to the flock to Denise.
Holy smokes. I didn't realize there was more than just the 2. 3's a charm right there.
3 is the charm. Oh, yeah. So we did the Phillipsburg. We did Bannock, the ghost town there. And then we did the Virginia City ghost town and Nevada City.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Which state, city, ghost town did you like the best?
The highlight was Nevada City because it was if you go on the weekend, they do living history. And so they
that's kind of fun.
They have people dressed up in the time period, and they're walking around town and doing their own thing. And so we went there was a house where the spinsters are, and there's spinning wool. And outside of that house, there's a lady and her kid washing, doing laundry. And we went by this one house, and the guy, he was a snake oil salesman. But he was telling us all about how,
AKA a Rams fan,
right? But so he did what would have been considered magic of the time period, which is just tricks with your eyes. Like he rolled a wagon wheel through and you watch the fence line, and it looks like the spokes are bending.
Wow,
I know, it's kind of fun. And then I don't know, it's kind of the introduction to what ended up being movies.
So a better representation of Montana than, say, catfishing Yellowstone?
Yellowstone got flooded this last week.
Oh, I know.
A lot of people, like, we had planned to go to the Lewis and Clark Caverns, but we couldn't.
I was talking about the TV show, by the way. It was a callback.
Trying to forget about that show because of you.
Yeah, I know.
But Yellowstone Park was closed. And so we couldn't get into the Lewis and Clark Caverns. Everybody had come up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's lame. Because I went there when I was about your daughter's ages, and it was a lasting impression. It was really neat. That's where I learned about stalagmites and stalactites.
One goes up and one goes down. I don't know which one's which.
I'm
going to say tights
go up.
Tights come from the top.
Tights up, mites down.
No, I think it's up. I think it's the other way around.
Oh, well. Whichever way. I mean, sounds a lot like pimps up, hose down.
And you guys have a Seahawks podcast and you don't know the difference between stalactites and stalagmites.
Negative, Ghost Rider. We do not.
We did get a review via Apple Podcast from DJ Nichols 92. Great fan-run pod. Been a Ring of Honor member for a few years now. I love tuning into this pod. It's such a breath of fresh air from the drama that the media peddles about the team every year. What makes Adam and Brandon so likable is their ability to laugh at themselves and keep a sense of humor about everything. Now, that's really been tested this last offseason, hasn't it?
Surely has.
The podcast is never boring, even when there's not much news to talk about. We'll see how that carries over from this week. It just feels like talking to your boys every week. There's great insight on the pod, as well as diverse perspectives, especially when guests come on. Hopefully that continues. I also love the community this pod has built. Level-headed, funny, and knowledgeable people from all walks of life that make game days fun in the chats and the off-season fun on social media. Highly recommend for any Seahawks fan, old or new. Thanks, DJ.
I highly recommend DJ. He's been an amazing addition to the culture that is around the podcast. So appreciate him, man. Thank you for the kind words. Appreciate it a ton.
Thanks to everybody. Thanks to all the new members of the flock. If you want to get in the flock, you can go to getintheflock.com or you can go to seahawkerspodcast.com/support. And if you want to help support the show, keep this going as we go on into this new year.
Heck yeah.
We got to be getting into our NFC West team previews here coming up here in the next few episodes.
Oh, well, that should be pretty easy, right? Rams are cheaters. Cards, who gives a catfish? Niners, go catfish yourself. Did I cover it?
Well, we got to figure out how to stretch that into about 45 minutes or an hour of conversation. But yeah, I feel like that's a good summary.
I could tell the Niners to go catfish themselves for 45 minutes straight. I feel like that's in my purview. I think I can.
Well, we have to bring up the new additions on the team, and we can talk about things like whether or not Trey Lance is going to be good, whether Deebo Samuel should just quit and or maybe find another team rather than stay with the Niners. These kinds of topics.
There you go. Okay.
What do you say we get on to some do better and better at life?
All right, man. My do better is for the Seattle Seahawks YouTube channel because they put out a bunch of OTA press conferences, and a lot of them were some of the more underling coaches, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that part was cool. The main issue is they just put out, like, for example, the guy I'm going to talk about, because I actually enjoyed his press conference. I got some insight on something that I've been asking about for freaking years, but I didn't know I was going to get it from him because they don't give his title. In this case, it was Coach Sanjay Lal, and I didn't know
he's
who
the
that
wide
was.
receivers coach.
How the hell do you know that?
Well, he's new. It was all the new coaches.
Right. Okay, I didn't know that. I had no idea.
You can just go to Seahawks.com, and I think if you look at the coaches page, it's all
do
there.
That. Or the freaking Seahawks could just put their, title. I mean, Clint Hurt, defensive coordinator. Now, they would have had a harder time with Sean Desai because they asked him, what's your job title around here? He's like, yeah, I don't know. Still trying to figure it out. Maybe ask human resources, But yeah, it was very frustrating. I had to watch all these press conferences and try to piece together what position group that or what they did for the team. But that was super frustrating. So do better on that. But I will say the Sanjay Lal,
yeah. I think it's Lal.
Okay. It was interesting because there was one exchange in there where he's talking about what makes a good route. And he actually breaks it down pretty well. I actually need to go back and re-listen to it because I don't remember it off the top of my head now. But I remember being like, there's an actual explanation for a change. And I really appreciate it.
I know. You asked that of Jermaine Kearse. You asked it of Keenan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Never a good answer from guys that actually run routes.
I even asked your mom, and Glenda didn't know either.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, Sanjay, also the offensive passing game coordinator.
Wouldn't know that.
No.
Wouldn't know that. I'd have to make a whole extra step.
They don't title that on the YouTube videos.
No, that was dumb.
Might do better. Also, somewhat tangentially related to these YouTube videos that went up over this past week from that same group of coaches, because the Seahawks hired a female to the coaching staff this past week, and
I still don't know what her job is.
I think she is. Well, she was. I don't even think she's up on the website because she's not a permanent.
Exactly, and they couldn't put a title on the YouTube video for me, so I could give her props.
She is part of the staff as part of the Bill Walsh. I don't know the exact title off the top of my head, but it's like the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
This is as good as I'm going to do off the top of my head.
Yeah, every good initiative ends with fellowship.
But it led to comments like this on field goals. We have Forget About It, who was the username. My only question is this. Is she really the best candidate for the position? Or is it being forced in? I'm sure she's better than many guys, but is she better than all males? Or just someone they want to use to show diversity for diversity's sake?
Forget about it. Is every dude that's ever hired any position better than every male that's ever done it?
Yeah, was Brian Schottenheimer better than every dude candidate that was up for the offensive coordinator job? Better than every dude possible is a very high bar to reach.
If you didn't ask that same question of every single new hire this year on the coaching staff, other than the one female, you may take a look in the mirror.
You may, and also when it's an actual diversity coaching fellowship, I think that's kind of the intention, is to bring diversity to the coaching staff. It seems like it's built right in within the title of the fellowship.
Yeah. Sounds a lot like a 38-year-old white dude living in his mom's basement who got skipped over at the 7-Eleven for the hot chick because people buy more stuff when there's a hot chick behind the counter, and he's pissed about it.
Also, I don't normally like going to the what about card, but anyone saying any kind of crap about Amanda Ruller being on the team and whether she quote unquote deserves to be there, look no further than Nate Carroll. Like, gee, I wonder how that guy got a job on the team.
Is he better than every other male that could have been hired?
What about Brad Idzik, whose dad, John Idzik, used to be the Seahawks VP of football administration? Yeah, how about that guy?
Nope.
Wonder how he made I wonder how he got hired on staff.
Totally their own bootstraps, bud.
They're totally their own bootstraps, and they were better than every other male applying for that job. So,
well, you don't know that because we wouldn't ask it in the first place.
So as long as Amanda's not related to Pete or someone in the front office, she's at least more qualified to be there than at least two guys on the staff. To anybody else asking questions, do better.
Damn, we both took the team to task in our do betters today a little bit. Mine was fairly weak, but that's all I had.
And mine was more directed at fans who were criticizing this coaching hire.
Yeah,
this temporary coaching hire.
Idzik's son. Shots fired.
Did you watch the video? I didn't post it to the Ring of Honor. I posted it to Discord, so you probably didn't see the video.
Well, if you had posted it to the Ring of Honor,
it.
I would have watched it because I watch the videos you post, unlike somebody else I know.
But so Amanda Ruller, and I think she's doing something associated with the running backs, but she is like an Olympic weightlifter. She played on the Legends football squad, which I think used to be called the Lingerie Football League, but then they changed it to Legends. She played football up in Canada, and
really,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and she did. She competed in freaking skeleton.
Done and done. If you compete in the freaking skeleton, you've got 10 times bigger balls than I'll ever have.
Right?
Yeah.
There's zero chance I would ever do that.
That's basically going down a solid sheet of ice from the top of Everest to the bottom on a lawn chair and calling it good. Head first.
They give you a helmet.
Yeah. No, all due respect. Amanda's a lot tougher than me.
Sports I will never do for 1,000.
What is skeleton?
Ding. On to Better at Life.
All right, man. My Better at Life this week is for the Cleveland Browns. I just want to thank the Cleveland Browns organization for doing the dumbest, most boneheaded thing they could have possibly done this offseason and blow up their entire team with the Deshaun Watson drama and everything that is entailed with that. Because as we go through our own quarterback competition and quarterback controversy and the trade of Russell Wilson and all that stuff, for as much as we've heard, it's a tenth of what we would have heard if they hadn't have done that. They have taken all the heat off the Seahawks. Being out here in Southeast Alaska, this has barely been mentioned. Every so often, you'll hear a pundit be like, yeah, we're not quite sure what the Seahawks are doing at quarterback. And that's it. That's it. We don't have to hear too many pontifications, anything. It's amazing. All because they were stupid enough to give that dude a giant freaking contract and stir up an enormous hornet's nest. Cleveland Browns, the Haslam family. You guys, amazing, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Between the Browns and the Commanders, there's no room this offseason to really talk about anything else.
And the Commanders they ought to be thanking the Browns.
Yeah.
Somehow most of their stuff is fairly low key, and it's just as nasty. Just not good.
Not good. Well, my Better at Life this week is for Doug Farrar. It is list season in the NFL, and we got one of the better lists because not only is it a list, but there's some analysis involved as well. And the title of the article, The NFL's Worst Quarterbacks Against Every Type of Coverage. So we go down the list. You got Justin Fields against cover 0. Had a tough time. He's a rookie. You'd expect.
Yeah, when he gets heated up, the rookie might not do great.
Cover 1, Baker Mayfield. Cover 2, Davis Mills, again, another rookie. Just going through the list here. 2-man, Derek Carr from the Raiders. Struggles against that. And I'm not obviously getting into a lot of the analysis with this.
Yeah, that's why Devontae Adams is there now.
Right. Cover 3, Zach Wilson. Struggled with that. Then we get to cover 4. Who do you think had the toughest time against cover 4 in the NFL?
Russell Carrington Wilson.
It was Russell Carrington Wilson. Yes. Wilson has been one of the more dangerous and explosive quarterbacks in the NFL for a while now, even in the Seahawks offenses that weren't exactly attuned to greatness at his position. One example in 2021 was Wilson's efficiency against cover 4, which allows defensive backs to use man and match concepts while giving bracket help up top. Last season against cover 4, also called quarters, Wilson completed 38 of 67 passes for 415 yards, 284 air yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and an average, what's ANY? Average
aeronautical yards? I don't know.
An ANY/A of 2.9 and a passer rating of 62.7.
That's interesting. Finish your thing, because it reminds me of something that I took away from one of the videos that we talked about earlier regarding names, because we talked about Russell Carrington Wilson. I got something to add.
Okay. Well, looking at the rest of this, you got cover 6, Derek Carr on the list a second time, Jimmy G, goal line.
What the hell was cover 6?
Cover 6 is, let's see, it breaks it down on a lot of these. Last season, Carr was one of the most vulnerable quarterbacks against any type of 2 deep coverage. This is the one that they don't get into what exactly cover 6 is. It explains it in all the other ones.
Sounds made up to me.
Yeah. Goal line, Jimmy Garoppolo. Red 2. I don't know what red 2 is. Tua.
You don't?
Break down red 2 for me, Adam.
There's a robber in the middle of the field and then a dog blitz on the inside. Sometimes you double mug the A gap at the same time while dropping the safety into a buzz flat And but you do it with 6 guys. Actually, you do it with 7, but disguise the 7th as a zone dog blitz.
Nailed it.
Thanks.
But my point in Doug Farrar making this article, you know who's not on this list? Geno Smith and Drew Lock. The Seahawks do not have a quarterback on this list of the worst quarterbacks against every type of coverage. And for that, Doug, you're better at life than Skip Bayless.
There you go. Yeah. Well, one of those quarterbacks I learned, we now know what to call them when they have a bad game, when they struggle against one of those coverages. Because our future quarterback that will be starting games for the Seattle Seahawks is not named Drew Lock. His name is Paul Andrew Lock. Every time he throws a pick, come on, Paul. Like, I'm going to go with Paul every time. When it's bad quarterback, it's Paul. When it's good quarterback, it's Drew. His first name is Paul.
What?
I'm telling you.
Are we learning something new? No. This is okay. I'm pulling up Broncos wire right now. No, Drew Lock's real name isn't Paul.
No, it needs to be. But that's fine. Bad Drew's going to be Paul from here on out.
Andy Locke, Drew's dad, informed Broncos wire that his given name is Paul. So how did PFR confuse Drew's name with his dad's name? So that's how it came into play.
Well, when he plays bad, he will be Paul.
Take that, Dad. Happy Father's Day, you jerk.
Yeah. I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.